So these different colors represent the different aspects of the music. So we've got like blue is bass, and then green is melody. Let me just, I accidentally opened Discord, so let me close this stuff. Let me close it. So yeah, green is melody, blue is bass, and then pink is harmony. And then anything like the harp often has a lot of random runs. Yellow is counter melody. So here, what you can see right here, that is that's harp stuff. Those are runs. So I do want to hear myself. So let me just open Ableton Live. I don't hear myself right now. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a few hours, 3 to 4 hours of work on just generally. I would like to do Princess Leia's theme, particularly due to what happened to Carrie Fisher, unfortunately. She had a heart attack, so it could have been worse. She could have passed away. Thankfully, she didn't. Last I heard on Reddit, she was in stable condition, but then I think her condition changed back to critical, and she was put in the ICU. But no news is good news at this point, I think. So that happened yesterday. So let me just open this so I can hear myself. There we go. Wait. I don't hear myself quite yet. Why is that? I should, however. Let's see here. Hello, check. I guess I don't really have to hear myself entirely. All right, that's fine. So, hopefully my levels are good. Let me lower down the desktop audio. Just let me show you what I've got going on here. What do you see on this? We have action. Okay, because what I'm using right now is I'm using this new program. Let me show you what I've got going on here. I'm using this new program called Voice Meter Banana. Because what happened was when I did that gadgets and recomposition stream, excuse me. When I did that gadgets and recomposition stream, the audience could not hear my sound that's coming from Ableton. So with this program, you are able to. Let me just unmute myself and see what happens. Hello? Hello? Okay, so there's still delay, which I don't like. I'm going to reopen Ableton and see what happens now. I should also resize my my desktop so that you get the full view of what's going on here. Whoop. Nope. Whoop. Okay. File. Recent set. Stream configuration. Check. So usually when I click this, I hear something, but what I did, let me put this to off just so that we don't get the same script that we had last time. What I did is I changed the audio device, because before it used to be my Yamaha Steinberg, but that's fine. Okay, as long as you can hear me, which I think you can. Okay, so let me just double check that you can hear this. If I click on a note, you can hear that. Okay, that's just a little quiet. So what I could do is I could raise that and then probably raise this too. Okay, so why are no notes being registered? Oh, it's probably because of that. So okay, right. So we're pretty much good to go. Let me maybe up the bit rate so that you can see those staff lines. You might not be able to. Let me change it and let me up it up. Let me raise it by another 100. Okay, so Leia's theme. Leia's theme. We've got a document open here so that I can kind of analyze it. Now, the problem that I'm having is I've never done this before. This is new to me. I've done all this stuff, right? So this is Leia's theme. This is Leia's theme. All these colors are done. I analyzed all of it. I analyzed it by texture. So again, green is melody, pink is harmony, blue is bass, yellow is counter melody, right? So I did all that. I did it for the entire orchestral suite, this entire book, all of this music. I did it, right? So that is which one is this that I have open to? This is the Imperial March. So I did, I analyzed all this so that instead of just a bunch of notes, it was organized by color, right? So I did all of it. I have over here Yoda's theme as well. So Leia's theme and Yoda's theme are a little bit simpler because their texture is a little bit smaller. So in order to convert this stuff to piano, like this Yoda's theme here is more complicated, right? So I think that Leia's theme is a good one to start with because in terms of texture, it's a little bit simpler, and because I've never taken a full orchestral score and arranged it for piano, I think that Leia's theme is a good place to start. Let me just do something real quick. Let me message somebody on Facebook. Streaming now. If you want to check it out. Twitch.tv/Razpewtin. Okay, so yeah, so we're pretty much ready to go. Let me put up Leia's theme on Spotify. I could also do it on YouTube. That works as well. Princess Leia's theme, this should be it. Right. So I said that stuff was introduction. Now again, if you want to follow along, I've posted a link in my channel feed. Excuse me, I posted a link in the channel feed because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be saying bar by bar what's happening. So that is what we just heard. I could probably change this to that. What we just heard. Flute. Oboe. You know, the other thing that I could do is probably open Ableton for this. Yeah, if we, you know what, if we stick strictly to an analysis right now, I don't need Sibelius open. Because it seems to me that when I have Sibelius open, it takes the Sibelius sound, which is a little bit delayed. So I'm not going to save any changes because I was just fooling around a little bit. Close this. So now we should get the Ableton sounds. Close that as well. Now why is that? What else? What other changes could we make? The other thing that I could do is probably insert a MIDI track and get a piano sound from here. Grand piano sounds, grand piano solo. Perfect. So let's bring that into here. Now, let me see if this works properly. It's working great. Okay, awesome. So let's listen to that one more time. No, I don't need to rush this. I really don't. Take your time, dude. Take your time. Whoops. So, I can pause that. Now, in my Leia's theme, I have analyzed that as the introduction. So that is bars. I could bring it over here. Bars 1, 2, 4. With the last, well, 4, yeah, bars 4, beat 4, and how should I set this up? How should I set this up? Could maybe make a chart. No, I want to insert a table. Let's make it 2 columns and like 30 rows, maybe. My bad. Sorry about that. I still need to fix my hotkeys. Where are we here? There we go. So bars. So this is bar number. Or measures, let's call it measures, and notes. Okay, so bar measures 1 to 4 is the introduction. Are there any other additional notes that I really need to do, that I really need to take about this? So I'm just comparing the two melodies, one that's played by the flute and the other that's played by the oboe. Okay, so in the first bar, in this bar, and then in the first bar of the oboe, they're exactly a perfect fifth away. So, okay, cool. Let's see here. First bars of flute and oboe, perfect fifth apart. Now, what else is going on? So in the flute, the way that it's notated, and again, you can follow along in the score that I've linked in the channel feed. Let's see if we can hear. Let's see if the performers are true to it. Not really. Let's see if the oboe player does it. Yeah, because what's happening is in the score, the way that it's written, the flute has a quarter note on the last beat of their passage. So the flute is holding it, and then the oboe is coming in while that A is still sustained. And then the same thing with the horn. So 2 beats, that's a half note. Done, 3 and 4. So maybe when I'm doing the piano cover, I can do that. Of course, it's not as easy on a piano because the tone is the same, because it's one instrument. But let's mark that down. The other thing, you know what? I should pull up that score that I linked. Oh, here it is. Okay, perfect. So we've got the score here. So let's go to Yoda's theme. Or excuse me, Leia's theme, which one is this one? That's Imperial March. Leia's theme, I mean, is number 2. Right here. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Is that quarter note, and then the oboe comes right in. Right? You get what I mean? Yeah. All right. So, flute melody is held while oboe begins, and oboe melody is held when French horn. Let's start using the short forms for the instruments. When F, well, what do they call it on this next page? HN. When solo HN comes in. Right, and then when the horn comes in, this is theme 1. I've analyzed it as theme 1. So this is the first sentence, and it continues on. So it can be analyzed in 2 ways. The phrase could be, so dum horn, da 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 dum ba da da, break, da 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 da, break. The way that I've analyzed it is just one complete sentence up until here, up until the pickup. You know, I could also change my opinion about that, which happens a lot with music analysis. There's no one right answer to this, and the reason why I want to do this type of thing is because there's not really any resources available for this type of thing. So what I'm gonna do is in my score, in my highlighted score, I'm going to write that right here is a break. Dun, ba, da, dun. Da, 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 da. I really shouldn't be doing this in pen. That's like a risky click of the day, but I don't really have a sharpened pencil either. Anyways, sentence 2. So this part, da 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 dum ba da dum, reaches. It's more expressive because it reaches a higher place. It reaches a higher point with this F. More expressive. And then in the strings down below, in the first and second violins, we have harmony going on. Right? Okay, so let's go back to this. So theme, what's really important is that I just kind of map it out. I should also put down like the keys. Okay, so let's do home key. So let's do it font size 12. Home key is D major. Ending key, which are usually the two places that you want to look to determine the key. So the ending key looks like it is C major. Let me just look through the entire score. My hard copy, obviously, this is obviously easier to do with a hard copy than it is to do on the computer, which is why I printed it out. It ends in E major. And it starts in D major. So, interesting change there. Are they closely related? Yes, somewhat. A major would be more closely related because it's the dominant of D major, but E major is the dominant of the dominant. So ending key, dominant of the dominant. Now, if I was doing this not on stream, I would not bother writing like dominant of the dominant. I would just, you know, take note that the ending key is E major. So at some point he's changing keys. So that's good to know. And he probably changes keys or tonicizes, which means like short visits to other keys at other points in the music. So measures, and by he I mean John Williams, of course. So measure, pick up to measure 5. That is the theme 1. So, and then theme 1 goes until, let's see, how do I analyze it here? Where's the music? I'm gonna close these tabs that I don't need. Which one is this one? Do I need this? No, I don't. Do I need this one? No, I do not. Okay. Well, where were we? Chill out, homeboy. Okay. So we're here. This is still, I've still analyzed it as still part of theme 1. So we're right here. Very, very long melody. We're here. So he takes time there, even though it's not marked as tenuto. No rallentando written either. Okay, so that is where theme 1 ends, and that's in bar 14. So pick up to measures 5, measure 5 to measure 14. Theme 1, very, very long. Very long and expressive melody. So the way that I've kind of analyzed it, one phrase or one sentence, next sentence, and then so Williams could have ended the phrase there. It ends on, right, in that moment the strings are playing B flat major right here. He could have ended right here. So how am I gonna do this? Right, so I'm gonna play it from the bar before. This is kind of difficult to do. Let me see. Right? Nope. You could have ended there, but then this part is an extension of the melody. So It's an unusual 10 bar length theme 1. Ending on the dominant. Ending on the dominant. And the actual progression that he uses here is quite strange. Yes, so this is an extension. Da, da. If he wanted to take it into a new key away from D major, he could have ended it right here, but he wants to return home with this extension that he does right here. So very long and expressive melody, unusual in that it is 10 bars long, which is 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2. What I mean by that is the grouping. So, whoops, wrong thing. I'll open again. So, da 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 2, da 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 2, da 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 4. So right here is where he kind of extends it and breaks our expectations. Da 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 da. So okay. Last 2 bars bring us back to the tonal center of D major. If Williams would have ended. Now, I don't really know how useful this information is going to be to me when I am actually doing the piano cover, but it is nice to be aware of the structure. If Williams would have ended after the expected 8 bars, we would pretty much be in B flat major. We would be in B flat major. I should save this stuff. Let me save it. Documents, I guess. So Princess Leia, let's call this Leia's theme analysis. Okay. Now this, I analyzed this yesterday. There isn't really, I tried looking for information. There's some discussion about the harmony in this passage, what I was mentioning before, right? So he goes from D major to E flat major, back to D major in bar 7, G minor, E flat major in bar 9, and then in bar 10, C sharp minor, and then bar 11 is the first time we have 2 harmonies. So that's a C sharp minor 7 followed by D sharp minor, B flat major. So even this, the reason why he's able to do this progression is that 2 of the notes, the A sharps become B flats, they're the same keys on the piano, right? But then the A sharp and D sharp are only a half step away from where they need to go in order for the harmony to be B flat major. So I could write that down in my highlighted score. I should write it in pencil. A sharps become B flats, and then other, so the chord notes. So the D sharp and the F sharp fall down a semitone. D sharp, F sharp, fall down a semitone, an ST. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. Now the next part, played by the oboe, but bassoon is moving in contrary motion to the oboe. The English horn responds with a darker color. So I've analyzed this as theme number 2, but it is quite short. And the reason why I've analyzed this as theme number 2 is because usually when we have themes, major themes, they are we in the right? we are in the right thing. Usually with themes, we can see that they are used later on. So at the very end, I know we have that solo violin right here. So the fact that the rhythm is maintained, constant triplets, and the fact that they're falling in those 3-note patterns, da 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 dum, also contributes. Are we? Yes, we are in mono. Good. Things are working as expected. Let me just double check, because again, I did make those changes yesterday, so I just want to make sure that we are doing things in the correct way. Okay, right. So this is theme number 2. Theme 2 starts, pick up to bar 15. You know, I might change around how this is formatted, but I just want to jot some stuff down. Pick up to bar, bar, or whatever, measure 15 to... And then we're back to the original melody here, theme 1. Bar 18, beat 4. To measure 18, beat 4. This is theme 2. Introduction, theme 1, and theme 2. Now this is broken up into two sentences. Broken up into 2 sentences. The first one is played by the oboe. Let me just double check with my hard copy. Repeated triplet rhythm used later, right? So that's what I've written down here. Theme 2, part A ends with a perfect fourth. So so this is a perfect fourth right here. So there's 2 ways. These 2 sentences end different ways. This is the second sentence, which is right here, which ends on a sustained note. So this is explored by Williams later. He ends in one of 2 ways. So then we can kind of see whether he's using the first sentence or the second sentence later on in the piece. Broken up into 2 sentences. The first ends with a perfect fourth. The second ends on a sustained note. Is there anything really else to note here? The fact that the bassoon acts in contrary motion kind of works to unify the rest of the piece when he does that with the solo violin that I just showed you. And it is very, very present. Here it is. You can easily hear it. So it's pretty easy to hear that the oboe and the bassoon are the most prevalent components of this section. Bassoon is in contrary motion. Oh, I mean, really, he could just as easily have inverted this, and then people like me who analyze the music would say, okay, it's just an inversion of the melody, which it is for sure later on when the solo violin has that stuff. But yeah, you know, he's introduces the inverted form of the melody through the bassoon, you could say. Now, do we end in a different key? So da 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 da. So we are still in D major, even though he explores B minor, right? I think. Okay, so what are the violins doing? Let me see. It's only the cello that plays as well. Okay, so let me zoom out. So he uses the leading note of A major. The leading note means that it is a note that wants to resolve upward by a semitone, so that's what that does there. So finishes still in D major, finishes on the dominant. Now something that I could do is I could write out the harmony here on my hard copy. So I've done that. I've done that for this passage here, where the first and second violin have it. I didn't really analyze the functional harmony. I just put down the actual harmonies themselves. And the reason why I did this is because there's multiple ways, so you can see that it says like E flat major there, E major. What's up? Hey, hi Andrew. How's it going, dude? So what we are doing is we are analyzing the harmony at bar 15. Let's see here. Nope. So it's right here. Okay. No, let me. I kind of need both, because that's what's the bad thing about having this all on the computer, is that you can't really see it all. You can't see the entire score. So I'm trying to figure out what harmony is that. Difficult part to figure out. It's almost like a augmented sixth chord. So yeah, right now I'm playing the harp part. And then here, hey, that we know. That's B major. That's easy. Okay, where's my highlighted biznatch? B major. Huh, it's tricky to analyze. If I recall, I know that there's 3 types of augmented chords, but I'm gonna look them up really quickly. Augmented sixth chords. There's the German, the French, and the Italian, but I don't think any of them are that way. Because here we have B flat, we have B flat, C, E, and F sharp, and the B flat is coming from the bassoon part, which is not really like, oh, it would have to be, no, it would have to be something else. It would have to be, like, the German would sound like this. That would be an augmented sixth chord, a German augmented sixth, but that we don't really have. This is kind of a strange part regarding the harmony. Where are we here? Whoops. Close. Okay. The fact that the F sharp in the oboe is on the strong beat tells me that it's a chord note. That's bloody hard to. I don't know how to analyze that. It's like a B minor sus2 sus4. Which is an unusual way to analyze it, but well, that's not really a classical way of analyzing it, but I have been working on my jazz harmony lately. B minor, sus2 and sus4, I think. Okay, and then the next part, when the bassoon changes the bass note to B flat. So there's that tritone there, which suggests that it would resolve outward. So this could be that could be like a C7. An unusual C7 because it has the tritone of C in the F sharp in the oboe, but we could look at it that way. Again, I don't know how useful this is going to be when I actually put it together for piano, but C7 with the sharp 11. C7 with the sharp 11. C7 with the sharp 11. And if this sounds too complicated, I'm sorry. You know, it'll appeal to a certain audience. Okay, so where were we in our analysis of the whole? So we were on measure 18, which is down here. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, so we could also... So he changes it in the same way by the semitone. So first he does this. And then the next phrase responds like this. Nope. Which is played by the cello. So we could analyze this harmony. Let's spend some time and let's do it. So we have G sharp, B flat, D, and E. See, the last note of those triplets, so this one here, ba-da-da, the G, da-da-dum, the concert G, kind of sounds like a chord note to me. So if I'm looking at bar 15 right now, that says A minor, right? So you have C and E, concert C and E in the clarinets, and then you have concert A, obviously because oboe is not a transposing instrument. Tricky to analyze in terms of the harmony. Okay, so I'm gonna make myself a note here. If harmony may be analyzed. Thanks for joining Recycle. I really appreciate it. Harmony may be analyzed by looking at the last note of each triplet in the melody. So let's do that for the second sentence. Da 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 da. So that would be G minor. And then the G sharp that is added by the cello right there in combination with the other notes. So that's a G minor with a flat 9. I mean, the other thing that could happen is you could look at that as a lower auxiliary, because you've got so a lower auxiliary means that it's hard to explain in full detail, but you can see how this note is lower than these two, and these two notes are the same. It's a lower auxiliary. That leading note pulls up to the G sharp. Leading note pulls up to A. I mean, up to A. Which I know, obviously, I wouldn't usually make a note of that type of thing, but that's fine. G minor with the flat 9. And then it ends on A major, which is the dominant of D major, which is our home key. Continuing on. So melodies up here. Okay, so this again we could look at. So because this is a restatement of theme 1, let me write that down here. Measure. Let's see. Measure. Pick up to measure 19. Pick up to measure 19. To let's see. It ends. Shit. It ends. It ends right here, so that is bar 28. Okay, so theme 1 is restated from measure 19 to bar 28. So this is theme 1 restatement. Now the thing about this, I believe I have written this down in my highlighted score. Yeah, so we have a, where is it? That is in measure 27. Here. Okay, so let's keep listening to it. We're here. Counter melody by the horn. Da, 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 da. Doubled by the oboe. Doubled by the oboe in the octave. So they are an octave apart. This is an F and this is a lower F. Doubling at the octave. Now the thing about this is, compared to the original, I've written down here that this is an octave jump. Which, in comparison to, I've written down here that it is in measure 12 to 13. Because these are the respective ends of both of those first themes. Let's see. So we had. So I'm gonna play it from this second bar. Whoops. Right here. Excuse me. I played that incorrectly. Compared to this. He also changes. I didn't make note of this earlier. He changes this around right here. So the flute, I have it open right here, my hard copy. Da 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 da. So these two notes, instead of kind of returning back down, like the horn does here, the flute continues up. Da 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 da. What also? So this is the key difference that I'm talking about right here. Is this is a fourth in the horn, and then down here is an octave. Right here. So what I've been told in lessons, and what many people have stated online and otherwise, is that the larger the interval, which is the distance between two notes, the more expressive the music is. So because this is an octave jump, it's more expressive. Now what I should make note of is this right here. So that is in bar 27. Changes melody around. Changes melody. Now, what we hear at the beginning of this statement by the flute, we hear tremolo in the strings. Right here. You see this? Da 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 da. The tremolo continues. Harp. Counter melody by the horn. Da da. Okay, so there's a little bit more tension here because of this tremolo. So, and this is good for me to know, because when I do the piano cover, as I get towards having a finished product that I can practice and memorize and that sort of thing and perform and I eventually post on YouTube, knowing that there's more tension because of the tremolo strings is good, so that I can try and replicate that on the piano. More tension in this statement. So we've had two statements of theme 1 so far, this one and this one. More tension in this statement due to tremolo in the strings. Hopefully you can, I'm gonna full screen OBS just to see what you see. Okay, so I was just kind of concerned about how the lines are showing up on OBS, but they seem to be showing up well. More tension in the statement due to tremolo in the strings. What else have I noted? Theme 1 restated with more tension, produced by tremolo, that we know. We've got some doubling in the strings. Now, compared to theme 1, as I mentioned before in passing, the oboe doubles the flute here. So it kind of reinforces the flute. This is the first time that has happened. In the original horn statement, we don't have that at all. So that's important. That's an important feature as well. Doubled. Melody is doubled for the first time by the oboe in 27 to 28, let's say. So this is also it has the same phrase structure, 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2. Let me just make sure in my score that I've marked it that way. Starts here. Cut. That's the first sentence. The second sentence, sentence 2, begins here, which is a more expressive statement because of the higher interval. So they start the same way, but then this leaps. And then it ends up being a third higher, a minor third higher. Sentence 2, and then this would be sentence 3, which is the 4-bar sentence. Carried over here. This tie is very, very important so that you can feel that the music pushes onward. I'll just show you what I mean. Sentence 1. Sentence 2, more expressive. Sentence 3, we expect it to end here, but he pushes, Actually, thinking about it again, the reason why that's happening, The three sentences kind of, the third one doesn't end here, but it could. The reason why it is not so much an ending is because this note is the exact same as this. So the momentum can carry forward rather than dropping. So end of sentence 1, drop. End of sentence 2, drop. And then it kind of restarts in that way because each sentence starts with a large interval upwards. So now if this continued on the E, which we end on right here, that was a very poor improvisation, but if this note was the same, then it could be looked at like the phrase is extended, that it's a longer phrase. But because this one is the same note, that's why I'm saying that it is a 4-bar phrase. Yeah, so 2 plus 2 plus 4. This is the plus 2. This is what gives us the unexpected length of the entire theme. This is what makes it 10 bars rather than 8. And this is where it's really expressive and where the doubling in the oboe happens. Okay, now what we have next. I'm not sure how to analyze this in the grand structure, but let's listen to it first. Okay, so there we are still in D major. 28 still in D major, ends on the dominant. That's still happening. So we haven't changed keys yet. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is rather unusual. I'm not sure how to analyze it in terms of the whole structure of the piece. Very, very virtuosic. And I believe that is it. And the first statement by the ever so beautiful, oh man, I get like chills down my spine when I listen to this part, by the first and second violins. And this strengthens it a lot more. So let's skip that for now. Let's go back to our Word document. So we're gonna leave a row available. Pick up to measure 34. Pick up to measure 34 to, where does it finish? I believe that this one is unusual too. So sentence 2, now sentence 3. The extension, the additional 2 bars, also with an octave interval right here, so that it's very, very expressive. Okay, so it's kind of, all right. So that is the end. But he follows one statement of the first theme immediately by another statement of the first theme. So he doesn't do any sort of transition. He just goes straight from one theme to the next. So pick up to measure 34 up to, let's see here. Where is it? Am I doing this correctly? Pick up to 34. Let me go back to here. Yes. So up to 43. Pick up to measure 34 to measure 43. Theme, whoops. Theme 1. Restatement. So this is double, like I said, it is, let me just double check with my score. This is why highlighting is useful, because then you can just look at the colors. This is the first time. The second violin doubles the first violins. They double the first violins in unison. So rather than being an octave apart, What key are we in here? We've also modulated by this point, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So instead of being like this in octaves, it's in unison, but maybe to play it a little bit stronger, I would consider doing it in octaves on the piano. First time that the statement, or that the theme is stated, how should I phrase this? First time that the theme is stated, first time that the theme is doubled in its entirety. Hopefully that makes sense. First and second violins. We've now starts in E major. So at some point, the whole purpose of the flute cadenza was to modulate, to change keys. So that starts pick up to 29. Pick up. So obviously, as you can see, we are covering all the bars here. Pick up to measure 29 to... Some of this stuff I already analyzed, and some of it is definitely new. Like, I didn't really look at the cadenza in terms of its function being to modulate. Which I should probably write down right here before I forget. Function of the cadenza is to modulate to E major, which is the key that we start this theme in. Pick up to measure 29 to measure 33. So I should probably analyze the harmony of this part to see where it might be that he modulates. So here it starts. So we have doubling that is happening. The horns are doubled in the vibraphone, which is doubled by the harp, which is elaborated by the celeste. So the celeste plays something like this. Which is just an arpeggiation of the exact same harmonies that the horns and the vibraphone and the harp play. The harp is a little bit sparser. So how could we look at that harmony? Because the previous chord that we have is A major. It's a B flat major. No, it's an E flat major, excuse me. With the added A. With the added A. So I said E flat major, yeah. So it's an E flat major with a sharp 11 or sharp 4th. Problem is where the what I need to do is I need to stay consistent with where I write these harmonies in this score so that I'm not like always looking for it. Maybe I should write it at the bottom. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so E flat major. I didn't do that earlier, but we're gonna start now. E flat major. E flat regular major. It's just a triad. I wrote it like it would be a 7th chord, which would be this. But it's just this with the added sharp 11. Sharp 11. I do need to pee. So we've got and then let me move down because we're on the next bar now. So it's B flat minor. There's two ways of looking at this. You could say it's a B flat minor with the flat 6, flat 13, or you could look at it like a G flat major 7. Because the B flat is at the bottom, I want to say like G flat major 7 is more common. It makes more sense. But because of the fact that initially when I was playing it at the piano, I would hear it as the B flat. Probably because the B flat is at the bottom and it's easy to see it in that way. But it's definitely, so that would be a B flat minor with the flat 13. Okay, cool. Or the flat 6. B flat minor, flat 13. Next one, next bar. So one harmony per bar usually. Of course that changes, but that's how he's pretty much been writing so far. And then so let me play it again. So this can again, so this is, he's following a pattern here. It's a regular triad with an added note. So F major with the added flat 9. Cool. So he's using extended harmonies. Nice. F major, flat 9. Next one. And then this bar is a little bit unusual. Yeah, you can see that in that the vibraphone, right? Yeah, vibraphone plays on the second beat rather than the first. So what could that be looked at as? E major with the flat 13. E major with the flat 13. Yeah, E major with the flat 13 or the flat 6. They're interchangeable. E major. E major with the flat 13. And if you don't understand, like, if you don't have a pretty good knowledge of theory, you're probably not going to understand what I'm saying. So, you know, as I'm streaming this, and this is something that I would like to stream too, because it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. I've wanted to cover Star Wars on piano for a long time. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I wasn't able to do it before episode 7 came out because I was just busy with things happening in life, and the way that I'm doing it, it is quite an intensive and long process. So, you know, something that I will be able to produce from doing this process, rather than just having the final product and then you don't see any of the process. This is kind of a completely new thing for me where I'm showing you the process. So hopefully this can also nurture the analysis of John Williams's music, because I mean, out of all of his scores, I admire Star Wars the most. Maybe that's just because I'm the biggest fan of, like, not the biggest fan of Star Wars. Out of all the movies that he's written for, out of all of them, if I had to choose one that I'm the biggest fan of, it would be Star Wars. So yeah, I think this would help nurture the, you know, musical side of Star Wars. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do. All right, where were we? I have to pee soon. Okay, so we were doing, we analyzed this bar. Now we are going to analyze the very last bar. And then here's where he ends. Interesting and very interesting. So the horns play 4 notes, whereas we can only see in the vibraphone for the first 2 beats, because I have a feeling that the first 2 beats are their own separate harmony. G, C, C and E, which would say C major. But let's look at the horns and see what they're doing. So from the top down. Okay, so that is a C major 7. Alright, cool. Yeah, because they fill in. They're the only ones that are playing the B. The second horn right here with its F sharp, which would sound like a concert B, is the only one that plays that 7th. Yeah, because it's quite bare in terms of the texture. C major 7. So here, and then we move the G down a semitone, which we can see in this 4th horn, da da dum bum, and we can also see on these strong beats in the harp, dum bum. So how could we look at that? Which do they? We could look at it like a passing note. Is there a harmony that fits with that though? Do the horns play on the next page? They don't. Not for the first 2 beats. So what I'm looking at right now is how we transition from here to the next page here. So, you know, like what is this harp? What are these strong beats of the harp doing? G, F sharp, and then E. So because it goes G, F sharp, E, even though the jumps down the octave, that doesn't really matter. It has that passing tone. It fits the description of a passing tone. Dun dun or dum bum bum bum. And as you can see, if we follow the horns, dun dum bum bum, and then we look down here, nothing. So they kind of stop, right? So Thankfully, the way that he's written the harp, we can look at the F sharp like a passing tone. If the harp wasn't present in this right here on the next page, we might have to look at this F sharp like a chord tone rather than a non-chord tone. So a passing note is, or passing tone is one of those types of chord tones. So, so it's just a C major. This time we do not, oh, we do have the B still here. C major 7. F sharp is passing tone. So there's one that's happening. I could just point it out here. Again, I've never really done this sort of thing, so by the time I finish it, it might be all jumbly and confusing. So do we have this kind of complete? Function of the cadence of the cadenza, excuse me, is to modulate to E major, right? So it goes from C major 7 on this page to E major. Which he's able to do because, well, it will be like 6-1 in terms of the function. But all the notes of C major 7 are really, really close to E major. So, C major 7. Maybe I should move the camera. That's what I'm thinking as well. So that you can kind of see the piano maybe from an overhead view. I wouldn't really be able to do that per se because the length of the cable on the webcam isn't super, super long. But anyways, for now we'll stick with this. So C can move down to B. And then the G can move up to a G sharp, and we're at E major. That's all it takes. 2 simple notes being changed. C major 7, and then here we are in E major for show. This would be 1, And is it just a simple E major? I believe so. So this would be a G sharp. So that's just a simple E major harmony that's going on there. E major. Cool. Now, what would be nice is if we could identify a place where he actually modulates from D major to E major. So if we look at bar 28, or an A major, and then the immediate chord after that is E flat major, sharp 11. Again, like this is subjective, the place where he chooses to modulate. E flat major in D major could be looked at as a Neapolitan chord, or a flat 2. Flat 2. What am I even? How am I writing this shit? Come on. Flat 2. B flat minor could be I was gonna say it's a what's the term? Modal mixture, because we would be borrowing from D minor maybe, but the only thing is that D flat. I know it's a 6 flat, like it's a minor 6, a minor flat 6. So regular 6, flat 6, flat 6, minor. Yeah, I think by this point he's already modulated, because then we end up landing on an E major. That's actually key. So really by this point he's already modulated here. This bar, we've already modulated. Now the interesting thing that he does is he spells the G sharp here as an A flat. Oh, I should be showing you this. My bad. He spells the G sharp here as an A flat, so that's an interesting decision. But by this point we're already at an E major, so he's already modulated by this point. So where could we? Maybe we should choose the F major in this bar as the pivot chord. These terms are starting to come back to me because I haven't taught theory in a long time, and I don't know. I haven't studied it. I haven't been in school, so, but this is stuff that I used to study. So, so this chord here is a flat 6 minor, and then the F major in D major would be a flat 3. And then in E major, which is our new key, it would be a Neapolitan chord. Perfect. Flat 2. So he modulates. Is that correct? Yeah. He modulates up a whole tone. Right? And then the next harmonies, this is a really, really nice 1 to provide some stability to all these kind of changes, these kind of not rocky. Well, they kind of shake the ground. They shake the stability of the key, because they are unusual harmonic choices. Oh, do we have a augmented 6 chord going on here? Let's see. So I'm looking at this bar right now, the last bar of the page. Let me just review. That would be a German augmented 6th in the key of C, starting on A flat. It's almost a German augmented 6th. Because right now it's written like this, with with the B, it would need to be a B flat to be a German augmented 6th chord. So it uses the flattened 3rd of the scale and the flattened 6th. But otherwise, it's part of the key. Flattened 3rd and flattened 6th. You could say that it borrows from the Aeolian, mode. Yeah, okay. Borrows from Aeolian, and then functionally it will be looked at as a flat 6, major 7. Right, and then we are into our theme in bar 34, which is down here. So, have we written that down? Yes, we have. And then let's just do the next one. Starting at bar 44. Bar 44. Da 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 da. So, because he's doing 2 statements in E major, he's really solidifying that as the key, and that is the key that we end the entire piece in. So he's really solidifying it by stating it twice in E major. In E major. So what is this? Pickup 2? Is there a pickup? There should be. Yeah, the pickup is right here. Da 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 dum ba da dum. Okay, so pick up to measure 44 to, I believe this is when he elaborates. Yes, and then here is where we have a change. Sorry. Oh god, I'm so bad at arpeggios now. So we have an A minor arpeggio down, and then we are in, this is another development of the melody that takes us to unusual places. So that is all unusual stuff, but so we have, this is a partial statement then. So we just get, excuse me, come on, whatever. We just get sentence. Okay, so I'm gonna put this beat 3 to measure 47, beat 3, partial. Theme 1 restatement in E major. Only sentences. Whoops. Only sentences 1 and 2 are stated. All right. I'm gonna be back. I need to pee. Epic stuff. Yeah, see, I told you I wasn't going to be gone for a full 10 minutes. Okay, I'm hoping that when I want to upload this stuff to YouTube, and maybe get, you know, maybe post this on the music theory subreddit and see if they would be interested. Oh, Origin just crashed. Oh no, Origin crashed. And see if they would be interested in this kind of thing, because as I was mentioning before, this kind of stuff doesn't really exist. This kind of in-depth analysis stuff. At least, you know, my attempt at it anyway. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. It's already Christmas Eve. Aw, damn. Can't believe it. Okay. So, where were we? Maybe we should nail down this structure first. Oh, ooh, I forgot to write the beat here. This is beat 3. Now, what happens at 47? 47. What did I write here? Because this was kind of confusing. Melody being taken to new place. Continues in unison. Right. So, we can see that the first and second violins continue to play in unison. Excuse me, I just burped. Now, you know what? Rather than... Sometimes when you're analyzing music, you need to look past the a part where you're kind of stuck, to see what happens next. So, now this is where we start getting fragments from the second theme, from the triplets, right? So, if I get my hard copy and show you the part where we have triplets. Right, so you can see that right there. We have triplets in the melody. Okay, and then we can see that we have triplets here. So he's kind of exploring two rhythms. Two rhythmic fragments that are taken from theme 1 and theme 2 that he uses in this elaboration. So he uses... Right, so that 8th, 16th, 16th, and then he uses the triplet. So I'm just going to play this part here that you can see on stream. Oh, this is one of my favorite moments, this build up that comes next. So I will take note, 48, and then it really stops. Da, 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 da. This is the end. This is a big climax where pretty much the whole orchestra is playing. Let's say it ends on bar 58, beat 4. So 2. I don't know how to change it in Microsoft Word because I made this font size 18. Bolded and underlined. I don't know how to change that so that it stops doing that when you... See, it's still doing that. Anytime I go to a new cell, it's that same size, but I don't know how to change that. Maybe I could just do this. Yeah, dink. So 11, 12, that should hopefully fix it. Okay. Let me do all of those and then turn those off. Maybe that works. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Measure, what did we say? What did we say? 58. To measure 58, beat 4. It starts with a pickup. I assume it starts with that A minor arpeggio. Da 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 dum. Da da da. So this arpeggio kind of, since it's cascading down in the notes of A minor. And then the next note that we have by the violins is a C. We get a smooth transition to this. Right, so obviously this is part of the statement of the first theme. Right? Very, very smooth transition. Obviously it would be played with probably not at that, like not in tempo. You would slow down a little bit. Okay, starts 47, pick up to 48, pick up to measure 48, to measure 58, beat 4, uses fragments, uses 8th, how do you spell 8th? 16th, I'll just write, let's do it this way, 8th, 16th, 16th uses 8th, 16th, 16th, rhythmic fragment from theme 1, as well as triplet figure from theme 2. And obviously we get a lot of unusual harmonies here. And it ends on the dominant of E major. So we have, so that is some sort of half cadence. Let's see. What is the harmony here? There's a lot going on here. As you can tell, the texture is definitely built up by this point. Bar 56. Um. So that is it's a F sharp half diminished. F sharp is the dominant of B. Was I writing this in pencil earlier? Yes, I was. F sharp half diminished 7, which happens on beat. Well, it's really throughout this whole bar, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, it's happening in the tuba. The tuba plays the F sharp. And then in the bass clarinet we have E, which is the 7th. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this page, which is the current page that we're on, the second last one actually, and I'm going to write down which chord note each of the harmony parts has. So let's start at the oboe. So in F sharp half diminished 7, we have an F sharp, an A, or let me go back. F sharp, which is the root, A, which is the 3rd, C, which is the 5th, and E, which is the 7th. The oboe plays the. Now they kind of play 2 notes. Some of them. Some of these instruments play 2 different notes. So da dum. So the oboe changes notes. But it's. Let me just confirm that it's that harmony for the entire bar. We have E and C here. Let me just double check that. Yeah, we have E and C. Seems like it to me. Yeah, and even the harp is playing what I call in my hard copy version an F sharp half diminished 7 scale. So if we use the first note, skip the second, go to the 3rd, A, skip the 4th, go to the 5th, C, skip the 6th, go to 7th, we have an F sharp half diminished 7. Yeah, so it's F sharp half diminished 7 for the entire bar. So what I could do is I could analyze. So let's start with the oboe. Oboe starts on the 7th, E goes to the 3rd, A. English horn, which is a transposing instrument. You have to transpose. It's a. I guess it would be an F instrument, wouldn't it? So the English horn is the line that says EH. So it has an E, which is the 7th, and then it moves, it stays on the E. So I'll just write 7 again. Clarinet, first clarinet has a D, which is the 5th, and it moves up to a F sharp, which is concert E, which is the 7th. Clarinet number 2 plays a B, which is the 3rd, and it moves to the 5th. Okay, bass clarinet, I've highlighted as blue here, so I expect that it plays the bass. Hold on a second. G? No, it doesn't. Wait, what? Whoops. What's going on here? I'm confused. 1 second. Let me get back to that. Let's go to the first bassoon. The 3rd, it plays the 3rd, and then the root, F sharp. Okay, so this. Oh, is it because it's G sharp here? Bass. Yeah. That's why it was confusing. I didn't realize that it was G sharp from the previous bar. It's tied over. Okay, so G sharp, and then it plays the root and the root again. Excellent. Next part. So the trombones and the tuba kind of work as a unit. The tuba plays the root, 7th. First trombone plays the 5th, and then the second trombone plays the 3rd. Excellent. And then the tuba stays where it is on beat 4. The bass trombone moves to the C, which is the 5th. The first trombone plays an A, which is the 3rd, and then the second trombone moves down to E, which is the 7th. Okay, timp plays the root throughout. The violins have the melody, so we won't really worry about that. Now this is an interesting section where the violas are split up into 2 staves. Most of the time we see it played in 1 staff. Let's see. So we have the 7th. Ooh, I forgot to highlight this bar. Oh, naughty, naughty. Do I have a highlighter down here? No, I don't. They're upstairs. All right, whatever. 7th. So these are both E's. No. E, G, B, C. 7th, 5th, and E, which is the 7th. So 7th, 5th, 7th. Cello, top voice. Okay. So the cello I've written has a counter melody, which is very, very important, as well as the horns, because they move in quarter notes. Right. Okay, now the second cello, which is this line here. 3rd, and then 3rd, and then we have these 3rd cellos, and I guess which splits up into 3rd and 4th cellos. 7th, which splits up like that, 7th into 5th, and then the double bass has the root. Okay, so quite complicated, but, and again, I don't know how useful that information is going to be when I do the cover, but in the 3rd bar, I've done it for this massive B major chord. Where are we here on the camera? Over here. Yeah, so you see right here. Let me get rid of my pencil. Right here. So I've kind of written them all the way down. Oh man, this is tough. I've written them all the way down which notes they have, the root, the 3rd, or the 5th. Okay. F sharp, yeah, F sharp half diminished 7. When I was talking about it earlier, I wrote that it started on beat 4, but it's actually the entire bar. F sharp half diminished 7, resolving to B major, which is the 5th of our new E major tonality. So we have a 5, half diminished 7 of 5, resolving to the 5, right? And then we get the melody. Let me just skip to this. So where are we here? Bum, bum, bum. That horn counter melody is huge. Oh, yeah, okay. So we are into our... Where the... Oh, here we are. Dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. So here's a prime example of using the rhythmic fragment from the first theme. So let me just go back to this. Let me go back to the original first theme. I guess I don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, but that's fine. So introduction, which we only see once. Da 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 ba da da. Right here. Da ba da da. And then what usually happens with a rhythmic fragment like that is that it's used repeatedly or right after each other. So ba ba da da ba da, right? Da 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 da. So it's used twice there. So I can write that down on my score. Let's see. I have theme 1, rhythmic fragment. Ba ba da 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 da. Right? Da ba da da. So that's part of theme 1 again. Da 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 da. Triplets are from theme number 2. Da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. And then here's really, really drawn from theme 2. And this bar down here, which you can see. Yeah, okay, good. Just making sure that you can see that. So that is theme 2. Fragments, I suppose. Theme 2 fragments. So let's keep playing. theme 2, theme 1, arpeggio. And you notice that it's also A minor and A minor arpeggio, which is how we started this restatement right here. Theme 2, da 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 da, big rallentando, and amazing, so good. Much more delicate here. So this is theme 2 restatement, descending. Yeah, so it's a descending restatement. So this is kind of like, let me just see it in the hard copy. Let me see here. Are we on the right thing? No, that's the main title. Main title. Oh, here it is. Ba-da-da. So it uses the notes go upwards like they do in the oboe originally. What bar is that? Bar 15. Let me see here. Bar 15. Right. So da 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 ba da da ba da da ba da da. But this time he kind of descends. Instead of staying on the same note as it does in the oboe here, he descends. Okay, but it is definitely drawn from theme number 2. Sorry for the scrolling, that it might look a little dizzying. Where were we? Yes, here. Okay, so pick up to bar 59. Before I make the decision, because this is the very end. This is kind of like Rimsky-Korsakov Scheherazade-esque. That's what it reminds me of. So good, man. So good. Fuck. So good. Okay. How could we look at this? This is like our coda, I guess. Okay, yeah. So let's write. So pick up to measure 59 to end. Coda. Oh, I should have. So this is. I guess this would be our transition to the coda. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. How instead of deciding what something is called when you reach it, in terms of sequential order, you could skip later on, make your decision about something that happens later, and then go back to this. So now that we've seen that this is a coda, which I do not have written in my score, and I really should write that. I just wrote that it was a theme 2 restatement. So this is the coda. So pick up to measure 48 to there is transition. What do I call this? Transition to coda. I should probably bold this. Transition to coda. What else? Let's just check the music for a second. So I'm looking at the melody to really see what happens. So tension just builds throughout. Have I written that down somewhere? No. Tension builds throughout as the melody continues to rise and rise. Pick up. So that's the coda. What do I say? We could look at the final cadence, what kind of cadence it is. So starting from here. Is that correct? And there's nothing else going on above this. Right. So that's actually an unusual progression. These two, the E and the G, well, E minor. But if we look at what the first and second violins are doing, we could look at that as a C major 7. So if he would have ended on these two notes, like for example, if he would have doubled the rhythm and made them longer, that sort of thing. Then we could look at that, because those two notes, the F sharp and the D sharp, would be part of B major, which is the dominant of E major, which would be a perfect cadence. But because we get these additional three notes, I'm looking at the second note of each triplet as a non-chord note. It just passes between the first and third. Huh, interesting. It's like minor 4 going to the tonic. So it's borrowing from E, the tonic minor, which is again a modal mixture, which we've seen already. Cool. I should actually change the title of my stream to just Yoda theme, or Leia theme, I mean. Excuse me. Update information. Yeah. So that is a minor 4 that's happening here. Okay. So 4. Whoops, I wrote a 6. 4 minor, which is a modal mixture, and then resolving to a grand, big, but delicate, not so big, not using all the instruments in the whole orchestra, but just the strings and the harp, which becomes the melody. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, the harp, because it moves, it becomes a melody there. Yeah, so that is generally, what do we write here? So it's kind of a plagal cadence. What it's an unusual plagal cadence because we go from the minor 4 to the 1. We would expect it to be a major 4 going to the 1, that kind of sound. But instead we get this. So unusually ends by doing a minor 4 to 1. Could we call that a minor plagal cadence? I don't know if that's a thing, but let's pretend that it is. Do I spell that right? Yeah, it's with another A. Right. Okay. Unusually ends by doing solo violin, climbs, and dictates harmony, I suppose. Sure. All right. So that's kind of a harmonic analysis of well, not so much a harmonic analysis, but definitely more of a structural analysis of what's happening in Princess Leia's theme. Now, yeah, so I think I could make that a separate part for YouTube. Razpewtin.